Okay, so let's troll Robert Murray Smith. So how, you ask? Well, great inventors do something very important. They troll each other through quantum-generated message generators.
It's actually going quite well.
Pen?
So far, you've
Paper?
seen the heating unit, and we'll be working on the main head for the collection of fresh water, and I'm going to be working on the regenerator and the pump for it. Now, releasing these in parts,
Place it
you can
into the generator.
Now that's just rude.
For EVR Productions.
Okay, so welcome back to the channel. So the challenge, low energy distillation challenge, has come to an end. Quick little recap. Basically, about a month ago, I challenged Robert Murray Smith. Okay, so there's a little more of a backstory than just the challenge. Basically, Robert came up and he posted a video about desalination. Basically, the idea was to make a device that uses low energy to convert salt water to fresh water. I saw that video and I said, you know what? I thought about it for a couple days and said, you know what? There's something even better that can be done here. We can make alcohol or ethanol from it. So after a little back and forth between me and Mr. Murray, I finally threw out the gentleman's bet that in 1 month's time, I can create a more efficient, better device than he could. Whether or not that actually happens, I don't know. Robert is quite the scientist over there, and so he goes ahead and through a course of a few videos, he works out a few different things, a few different principles, things that I'm pretty sure he's going to be using. I haven't seen his final product yet, so I don't know exactly what he's putting out. However, I am ready to reveal exactly what I've done. So basically, it is right off camera here. I'll be showing you clips of how that was built. So basically, what that is I took a heating element from inside of a Keurig coffee maker. You see that right here. So that, there's a couple reasons why I chose that. It's got a sealed container. It's very strong and sturdy. It also has an internal heating element, although I'm not going to use the internal heating element at all whatsoever, because that's going to use a lot of power. So I'm calling this 1 watt per shot. It's not really 1 watt per shot. As a matter of fact, I have the kilometer meter running right now, and it's about 0.09 kilowatts. So that's more than a watt. But it has had some very interesting results. After the first testing here, I got about 15 milliliters of water slash beer slash ethanol. Now, the reason that it's not pure is probably because I spilt a little bit inside of it. So what I did was I took the container, removed the lid. Once I removed the lid, I then placed a small container inside of it. Put it all back together, and then there's 3 different ports on there. The one port I traced down inside of the container, so that way when I added a vacuum, I could suck in some of the mash or whatever the alcohol containing liquid was going to be, sucking it into there, and then closing that cylinder allows for it to be a sealed unit. Then on the bottom half of the unit, there's a exit vessel for the purified liquid. Basically, then I have one left that I use for the vacuum. And then also, too, if you kind of think about it, you can then do this really cool thing where if the once the process is all done, you can then add positive pressure through one of them and get the old mash out, add new mash in, and there's some other really sweet little factors that are involved here where you have, you can because of the unit that I chose to make the vessel out of, there's other things that can be done too. Like it can be very easily automated, or some more switches, some things that, so there's more to be done here. So basically, let's just run through exactly what I did. So first thing I did was I took the vessel, the heating element, and I encapsulated that in aluminum sheeting. It's the same stuff that you would use for your roofing. I used some zip ties to secure everything, a little bit of protective rubber on the top so nothing cuts itself. Then I surrounded that with a foam layer for insulation properties. Secured all that, made sure everything was labeled and pulled everything through so that all the individual tubes are out and laced through. Then I made a nice little cap with a 12-volt incandescent light bulb. Same kind of light bulb that you have in your automobile headlights. As a matter of fact, they're on their way to being surfaced out, but this was the most efficient way that I can find to add heat to the system. So basically what I've done now is I've made basically a solar distillation unit, or solar still. So now I've just been basically tracking it and finding out how it is. So if you take a look here, I'm going to turn it on, monitor some temperatures. Not quite enough yet for me to be testing how much alcohol is in there with a hydrometer. I'll be testing that later with some more alcohol altogether. And then also too, I want to point out that this flirts with that line of legality. I would highly recommend that if you're going to attempt to be making your own alcohol-based fuel, that you should check with your local jurisdiction about exactly how and why you're allowed to do what you're allowed to do. I'm taking the liberty of saying that this falls into that category of home brewing and home wine making. That's something that you should make sure that you're inside of before you go too far with this, because if you go too far and you're in the wrong, you're gonna have some fines and penalties that you're gonna have to deal with. Now, myself personally, I'm in the process of speaking with some people from my town hall to get the proper permits to scale this up and do anything better with it. However, since this is scientific experimentation, I'm taking the liberty of saying that I'm well within the means of my constitutional rights, or whatever you want to call it. And basically, if there is any problems, I'll come back and I'll let you know about them. But for the most part, I'm just treading very lightly in this situation. Especially because I'm making this very public on YouTube here. So, basically what it all comes down to is this is a very cheap way to make yourself some ethanol, some fuel that you can be used in further refinement. And the whole key to the whole system is having it under vacuum. The vacuum process is what's making it do such low energy, and I need to do some more research into exactly what I'm going to be gaining more vacuum from, because right now it's just not quite where it needs to be. And I'm just using this guy here. You know, this is just a little pump for bleeding brakes. It works well. I mean, it's not like it doesn't work. I mean, but I need much more vacuum to get down to the point where I want to be at. So, that all being said, this is my 1 month challenge with me and Mr. Robert Murray for the low energy distillation challenge. And so that's where I'm calling it, 1 watt per shot. So I'm excited to see what Mr. Murray comes up with, and I'd like to thank you at this time for watching, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, and have a nice day.